The federal government gave people the right to access abortion legally by the Roe v. Wade ruling in 1973 in the United States, and this constitutional right to an abortion was recently overturned by the Supreme Court in 2022. There definitely has been a lot of moral discussions about the decisions. Back in 1967, when the British Parliament liberalized abortion, philosophers discussed it in their essays on the matter. A famous one is by Philippa Foot about the discussion of using the doctrine of double effect on the problem of abortion. Today, I will analyze the original article by Foot from 1967. The doctrine of double effect can help defense on unacceptable issues, such as killing people during self-defense. The words double effect refers to two effects that an action may produce. There's one effect that is directly aimed at, and the other effect is foreseen but in no way desired. We can also understand it as sometimes it's permissible to bring about by oblique intention what one may not directly intend. Here, Philippa Foot adopted the terms oblique intention and direct intention from Bentham. The strength of the doctrine seems to be in the distinction it makes between direct intention and oblique intention. But think about the following two examples where Foot believed we're actually comparing what we do and what we allow. The first case is the original trolley problem. You are driving a runaway train, which can only steer from one track to another. The brake is not working. 5 men are working on one track and 1 man on the other. Whichever track you steer to, the people will be killed. Would you steer to the track with 1 or the track with 5? The second case is about a judge. You're faced with Reuters who demand you to find the culprit for a certain crime. Otherwise, they will take their own bloody revenge on the community by killing 5 innocent people. The real culprit is unknown, so as the judge, you're able to prevent the bloodshed if you frame one person and have him executed. Would you frame and execute an innocent man or let the 5 people die? Majority of people choose to steer to the track with 1 man, but in the second case, choose not to frame 1 man to save the 5. Based on the doctrine of double effect, your rationale for your choice depends on what is your main and direct intention, and the oblique intention and the side effect is okay even it might harm someone. So under the doctrine of double effect, your rationale to choose the first option in the trolley problem is because your direct intention is to save 5. Killing 1 is merely foreseen but unintended side effect. While in the judge case, it seems the judge is intending the death of the 1 innocent man if he chooses this option. In other words, it's very difficult to justify that framing and executing 1 is merely foreseen but unintended side effect. To be noted, people argue that justice corruption is involved in the case, but even when we change the judge to a random person, people are still not likely to choose this option. Foot then raised the question whether we should be held responsible for what we allow as we are for what we do. She believes this is what we should really be discussing. The comparison of direct versus oblique intention is not the same as the comparison between what one does and what one allows to happen. The intention could be direct or oblique. For instance, review the loop scenario. Are you directly intending or obliquely intending to kill the big man on the loop? Of course, in these cases, certainty is also a factor to consider. For instance, whether it is certain that the 5 will be saved if we kill 1. Foot believes that we have a positive duty to benefit others and a negative duty not to harm others. The latter duty is stronger than the former. Later, it is also called the doctrine of doing and allowing, DDA. Specifically, a negative duty is a duty not to do harm to someone. A positive duty is a duty to benefit others, include not to allow harm to someone or a duty to bring aid to someone. So when we analyze the cases, we're discussing whether we're weighing positive duties against positive duties, negative duties against negative duties, or one against the other. It's the duty to refrain from injury or rather to bring aid. Negative duties are more stringent than the positive duties, even where the strictest duty of positive aid exists. This still does not weigh as if a negative duty were involved. So now let's go back to the Charlie driver and the judge facing Reuters cases. In the Charlie case, both options are about negative duty of not to harm. Therefore, we're comparing two negative duties, harming 1 or harming 5. Therefore, we should choose the one with less harm and steer to the track with 1 man. In the judge situation, we have a negative duty not to harm 1 versus a positive duty not to allow harm on the 5 men. Even the strictest duty of positive aid exists. In this case, save a lot more people. This does not weigh as much if compared to a negative duty. Therefore, we should choose to avoid violating the negative duty of not to harm. Refrain from framing and execute 1 man to save the 5. So, after we talk about the two scenarios, let's go to the abortion case. To save the mother, we must kill the child by crushing its skull. Well, if nothing is done, the mother will perish, but the child can be safely delivered after her death. For the similar rationale as the judge's case, if using the doctrine of double effect, it's hard to justify killing the baby as oblique intention, while for mother it's not. Therefore, most people choose the second option. Under the doctrine of doing and allowing, it is easier for the justification, where we're comparing a positive duty not to allow harm or help the mother with a negative duty not to harm the baby. Since the negative duty is more stringent than the positive duty, we should choose the second option. Both the doctrine of double effect and the doctrine of doing and allowing choose the same results, but different rationale. As Philippa Foot mentioned in the article, there are other principles, and this specific article just intends to discuss the usage of the doctrine of double effect and further discussing the difference between doing and allowing. Yet, the framework is still not perfect. Judith Thomason changed the original Charlie case slightly, where you are now not the driver anymore. You are a bystander. The train is heading to the track with 5 people. In front of you, there is a switch that you can steer the train to the track with 1 man. Would you do it? Under the doctrine of doing and allowing, we're comparing a positive duty to save 5 people versus a negative duty not to harm 1 man now, rather than comparing two negative duties. In this case, if negative duty is stronger, we should choose not to violate the negative duty and so not to turn the switch and just allow the 5 people die. But majority of people still choose to turn the switch. What do you think? The purpose of the article is not arguing for or against any of these views, but just trying to provide the framework for the justification of the decisions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.